Hey everyone, Kevin here with Victory 4x4, and in this video I'll show you how to install our fuel tank skid plate on your FJ Cruiser. Now before you can begin installing your new skid plate, you're going to have a factory skid plate that needs to be removed from your fuel tank. As you can see here, ours has already been removed. Not to worry, it's super simple. You're just going to have 4 nuts, 2 here, 2 back here. Those can be removed with a 12mm socket, and then that whole thing just drops right out of the way. You can toss it in the trash. With that factory skid out of the way, you can begin installing your leg supports. Now this is going to be the shortest of the 3, and it's going to install on the driver's side rear. This will simply bolt right up here to a factory threaded hole in the frame using the provided 8mm bolt. You can go ahead and just get that started by hand. With all of these, you're just going to want to leave them a little bit loose until you get all your hardware installed, and then we can tighten everything up. Next, I'll grab the longest of the 3 brackets. That's going to install on the passenger side rear. Similar to that driver's side rear, this is just going to go right to a factory threaded hole in the frame and install again with an 8mm bolt. Just like before, I'm starting that by hand and leaving it loose for now. Now for the 3rd leg support, we're going to be working on the passenger side front of the fuel tank. For this one, it's going to mount through a large hole in the fuel tank support cross member up here. For that large hole, you're going to need to install the black square metal plate with a 3/8 bolt and a washer. That can simply slide over the top of that cross member and drop down through the hole. Once you have that in place, take that final leg support, slide it up over the bolt, and then install the provided 3/8 washer and nut. Now that we have all the leg brackets installed, we've grabbed our skid. This is going to be pretty obvious on how it goes. It follows the contour on the bottom of the tank. It's going to slide right up over those factory studs using these slots, and then we can loosely reinstall those factory nuts to hold it in place. Just a quick tip, as you're lining this up, you may have to slightly loosen this rear fuel tank strap. Don't fully remove it, just to allow you some slight front to rear movement in order to line these studs up with the slots in our skid plate. After that, you can go ahead and lift this up, just looking to line that up to those studs. And then as you go up, you just want to watch and make sure that those leg supports fall inside of the fuel tank skid. Now we'll just take this up and get it lined up on these studs. Again, watching our leg brackets to make sure those fall inside of the skid. Now with that lined up, I'm simply going to loosely reinstall this factory hardware to hold this up in place while we line up the hardware for our leg supports. Now all 3 leg supports are going to install to the skid using the 1/2" button head bolts from the outside, backed up with a serrated flange nut. After all that hardware is started, the last thing left to do is just tighten everything up. One thing you do want to pay attention to when you go to tighten all this hardware up is just make sure that your skid plate appears to be centered and that the nuts and bolts behind the skid aren't digging into the side of that tank. So you may just need to shift that left to right slightly before tightening those down. If you guys have any questions about this skid or any other product here at Victory 4x4, feel free to reach out to us, info@victory4x4.com, or give us a call 269-459-8447.